This is my giant plane based off of this Soviet design here. It was made to hover, or it wasn't really made to fly, but it only fly a few feet above sea level, less than the wingspan of the plane, and it'd float on a cushion of air. So we're going to turn on the engine's throttle light up to maximum power. Then in the front we have 6 Panther jet engines with an afterburner, which I've currently turned on, so it's been switched to wet mode. And on the back we have 2 props, which is not realistic for it's a seaplane, kind of, and they'd usually be put on the top of the tail, like in some of planes. So right now I'm having a bit of trouble controlling it since there's no yaw axis, only the engines. So that was a bit problematic, and I was accidentally steering in the wrong direction here. But eventually I started getting enough speed. Well, actually I doesn't have it for a bit, so I'm going to speed up the clip right here. Okay, now about 87 meters per second, I finally have enough speed, so I pull my nose up, and then I'm flying pretty decently. Even though this thing isn't made to fly, or only a couple of feet high, it works surprisingly well and takes off a good bit slower than most of my other planes that I've created over the few months that I've actually played out on computer. So now I'm going to keep a relatively level flight for now. I'm going to try and fly over to the ocean and touch it down with on the sides of the wings. I have 2 empty fuel tanks to provide it or help it float, or else it'd just sink. And on the back, below the tail, I've tried to create a hydrofoil. I don't know if that helps much at all. It'd probably help if I put some sort of control surface on there, but for now it's working pretty well. Also, I've angled the front 6 Panther engines downwards a bit, so they'd go, or the thrust from it or whatever would go underneath the wings to help provide more lift and a better air cushion for it to float/fly on. Okay, so now going about 128 meters per second at about 90 feet or so. So I'm going pretty fast, and you'll see I made a mistake going way too fast. I should have shut off the engines, waited till I was nowhere at max 100 meters per second. So I hit the water going way too fast, and then my airplane just gets completely taken out. So let's revert back to the launch. Okay, so let's try this again. But I'm going to use a mod called Vessel Mover to just pick it up, move it right over to the water, place it down. There we go. That's where it's supposed to go. And I do have landing gear on the bottom, in case you didn't know. But the fuel tanks on the sides are so tough that I don't even need landing gear to take off. They'll just scrape along the bottom, and I could fly perfectly well. Ha ha ha. Yeah, it's a bit slower gaining speed in the water because water's a lot more dense, in case you weren't clear of that, I guess. So I'm going to speed up this clip here. Okay. Up here, I finally gain enough speed to bring my nose out of the water, but I don't have enough speed to take off just yet. But bringing my nose off the water helps me gain speed at a faster rate. And then eventually I get enough speed, and boom, I can take off. So with I finally have enough lift to take off at about 60 meters per second, which I think was even slower than land. So there we go. Properly pulling off the water, although I am still gaining speed at a very low rate. So I'm going to keep it pointed just up enough. Right now, or the aircraft's nose pointed up just enough to keep gaining speed at a slow rate without falling back into water. Because if I were to point my nose completely straight, I simply won't have enough speed and I just fall back into the water. So yeah, we're only not even up 40 feet high right now. Still pretty low. Yep, but I'm slowly gaining speed and lost a bit of altitude because I angled the nose down, but it did help me gain speed. And a bit earlier, right when I took off, those engines are pushing as hard as they can and hauling this huge weight. But now they're not pushing quite as hard. We've pushed it up to right about 70 or so feet, just about. Yep, goes down a bit, pulls back up the nose, speeding it up. Sped up this part just so you won't have to watch me gain speed for a while. But yep, now we're going about 157 or 160 meters per second, which I'm not sure the regular ekranoplanes built by the Soviet Union could go up to about 500 meters per second. But yeah, so at this point, I just lost one of the pointy things to help it be more aerodynamic. So I shut the engines off, saying, I'll coax this into the water slowly for a landing. But I realized I have enough speed and it's not upsetting me greatly, so I can actually continue flying. Throttle up all the way, and away we go. So I'm going to speed up this clip, skip that a bit. Bada boom, bada bing. Now this is just me gaining speed and a bit of altitude. Like a lot more than when it was designed for. I bring it up to almost 6,000 feet right here. So the regular version was only supposed to go about 6 feet high, not 6,000 feet. So then I asked my friend Jackson, who I'm talking to over Xbox, hey dude, should I land on the land or the water? And he says water, because that's what it's designed for. So nose down, speed up this clip here, and yeah, I'm going for a nice smooth water landing at a pretty high speed, 260 meters per second. You think I would have learned my lesson from the previous crash I did? Well, kind of. I tried to, but no, not really, not at all. So yeah, about 200 meters per second. I probably should have been more aware of this, kept my altitude a bit higher, but big crash. Sienna texts me, oh, hi, Sienna. But there we go, lost all my engines, but surprisingly, most of it's still intact, believe it or not.